Coming up on 5 Minute News. World powers seek to bring US back into Iran nuclear deal. IMF upgrades forecast for 2021 global growth. And California's Pacific Gas and Electric charged in 2019 wildfire. It's Wednesday, April 7. I'm Anthony Davis. Officials from 5 world powers began a new effort on Tuesday to try to bring the United States back into the foundering 2015 nuclear deal they signed with Iran, a delicate diplomatic dance that needs to balance the concerns and interests of both Washington and Tehran. The meeting in Vienna of envoys from Russia, Germany, France, Britain and Iran came as the US was due to start its own indirect talks with Iran. It would be one of the first signs of tangible progress in efforts to return both nations to the accord, which restricted Iran's nuclear program in return for relief from US and international sanctions. Following the closed meetings of the signatories to the deal, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Russia's delegate Mikhail Ulyanov tweeted that the initial talks were successful. In 2018, then-President Donald Trump pulled the US unilaterally out of the accord, opting for what he called a maximum pressure campaign involving restored and additional American sanctions. Since then, Iran has been steadily violating restrictions in the deal, like the amount of enriched uranium that it can stockpile and the purity to which it can be enriched. Tehran's moves have been calculated to pressure the other nations in the deal to do more to offset crippling US sanctions reimposed under Trump. US President Joe Biden, who was vice president under Barack Obama when the original deal was negotiated, has said he wants to bring the US back into the JCPOA, but that Iran must reverse its violations. The rollout of COVID-19 vaccines and vast sums of government aid will accelerate global economic growth to a record high this year in a powerful rebound from the pandemic recession, the International Monetary Fund says in its latest forecast. The 190-country lending agency said on Tuesday that it expects the world economy to expand 6% in 2021, up from the 5.5% it had forecast in January. It would be the fastest expansion for the global economy in IMF records, dating back to 1980. In 2022, the IMF predicts international economic growth will decelerate to a still strong 4.4%, up from its January forecast of 4.2%. The agency's economists now estimate that the global economy shrank 3.3% in 2020 after the devastating recession that followed the coronavirus's eruption across the world early last spring. That is the worst annual figure in the IMF's database, though not as severe as the 3.5% drop it had estimated 3 months ago. Without $16 trillion in global government aid that helps sustain companies and consumers during COVID-19 lockdowns, IMF forecasters say last year's downturn could have been 3 times worse. The US economy, the world's biggest, is now forecast to expand 6.4% in 2021, its fastest growth since 1984, and 3.5% in 2022. The US growth is being supported by Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion relief package, while an acceleration in the administering of vaccines is beginning to let Americans return to restaurants, bars, shops and airports in larger numbers. The world's second-largest economy, China, which imposed a draconian COVID-19 clampdown a year ago and got a head start on an economic recovery, will record 8.4% growth this year and 5.6% in 2022. A California prosecutor filed 33 criminal charges on Tuesday against troubled Pacific Gas and Electric for a 2019 wind-driven wildfire officials blamed on the utility, accusing it of injuring 6 firefighters and endangering public health with smoke and ash. The company denied that it committed any crimes, even as it accepted that its transmission line sparked the blaze. The Sonoma County District Attorney charged the utility with 5 felony and 28 misdemeanor counts in the October 2019 Kincaid fire north of San Francisco. The blaze burned more than 120 square miles and destroyed 374 buildings. The 33 charges include recklessly causing a fire that seriously injured 6 firefighters. The utility said it hadn't seen the report or evidence gathered by state fire investigators, but it will accept the finding that its transmission line in the Geysers geothermal field northeast of Geyserville caused the fire in the spirit of working to do what's right for the victims. It thanked firefighters, including those who were injured, and said it was grateful that no one died. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.